back to the states here. I'll get a number of questions about the election coming up in a couple of weeks. Dan Trigona asks about the redistricting measures. Sir, what would be the ramifications of the redistricting propositions passing? That's Prop 20 and 27. You were just out talking about that a couple nights ago.
Well, I think that whenever you create reforms, and we have fought very hard to create the reforms of redistricting, and take that power of redistricting and drawing the district lines away from the politicians and give it to ordinary people. That was a big battle. But now the important thing is that we keep it in place. And Proposition 27, what they are trying to do is basically reverse it again, the decision, and give it back to the politicians. So it's a terrible, terrible initiative. And so this is why it's very important for people, if they really want to go and create the reforms that we wanted to create and to take some power away from the political parties and not make them go further and further apart, I think it's very important to vote no on the proposition, on Proposition 27. On the other hand, there's another proposition on there, which is Proposition 20, which expands on the reforms that we have created by including now the congressional districts also. And so this will be exactly what I have tried to do in 2005 and was not able to do. So that's why we split up the two. We did first just for the state politicians and then to do also the congressional districts now separately. So that has a good chance of winning. And if it does win, it will be huge reform again for the state of California. So I think the most important thing is to not go in a trend that the United States is going right now. And it's very upsetting, I think, when you see people going, when you see the parties drifting further and further apart. Because what is really disturbing is that they're going to go so far apart that when they go to Washington, they can't come together. It is too much stretching, and they can't get together, and therefore there will be this paralysis in Washington that we see right now. I mean, as you could see, this year not much was accomplished back in Washington because of all the fighting that is going on. We need them to stop fighting. Stop fight. We understand that the right thinks one way and the left thinks another way, but stop the fighting. Respect each other's point of view and say, but we are a two-party system. We got to work together in order to get things done. We owe it to the people of California, we owe it to the people of the United States to go and get things done. There's such important issues like energy policies that need to be changed. We got to have a environmental policy in place for the long term. We got to go and deal with immigration reforms and so many and economic stimulus. And really putting people back to work, bringing our economy back as quickly as possible. Not bailouts by any means, but to just come up with laws that streamline the process, the permitting process and so on, to get people back to work. So, by fighting, you can't do those things. And one party alone cannot do those things. Both of the parties have to work together.
We've had a lot of questions about what you may do next, and Lowbrow85 actually was just up here about a minute ago asking if you'll do movies again. We get a lot of questions about after the Expendables, and you just took a picture with James Cameron yesterday that you put on your Twitter today. What's the future like in that regard?
Well, I've said so many times that when I'm finished with this job, and when we have kind of charged through the finish line, which is the important thing, not to act like a lame duck governor, but to really, see all the different challenges out there, what we can accomplish, and to go after it. Just like we have done now with budget reform and with pension reform and doing the budget, and now fighting for those propositions to make sure that we beat back and fight back on Proposition 23, which is trying to take out our environmental progress that we have made and reverse all of that. So we want to make sure that loses, that people vote no on this proposition, that we raise the money for it so we can be on television and get the information out there, that we bring the high-tech people together, that Silicon Valley and the innovators and Hollywood and the business leaders and the environmentalists, bring everyone together and say no to that proposition. That is the important thing. So I think there's so much work that needs to be done now before January, before I'm finished, that after that, I can sit down and go, now let's think about the next move. But you can't do both at the same time, because it's like in sports, you don't want to ever take your eye off the ball, because that means that you're already thinking about something else, and your eye gets off the ball, and then you can maybe miss the ball. And so in sports, you learn very quickly that you keep concentration on what you're doing right now. And so this is what I do, is I concentrate on the work that I'm doing now. Then I can think about I will be obviously doing the obvious, to go out and give speeches, because there's a lot of important things that I want to say, and that my struggle for reform will continue. My belief in environmental issues and in protecting the environment will continue. My fight to bring more jobs to California will continue. So there's a lot of things that I will continue, especially with policy things and so on. And then I will be writing, obviously, books, because, there's for 2 decades now, publishers have been after me to write, an autobiography. And I never had the patience to do it, because it's very hard for me to look back. I always like to look forward and move forward. I just can't look back. And so that's why I got to get the discipline together to do that. So I'm sure I will be writing a book or two. And then if I will be doing movies or not, I have no idea. So it depends, if someone comes with a great script, with a great idea, will I still have the patience to sit on the set and to do a movie for 3 months or for 6 months? All of those things, I don't know. But, like you said, I did have a meeting with Jim Cameron. We talked about some very important things. We're going to do an announcement on Monday on what we talked about, and I think that will kind of explain a little bit more about the whole thing.
That's great. Blistering Dude right here is just asking about will you work with James Cameron again? And there's been a number of questions as we spoke here about what you may do next. A couple of things you mentioned were you want to fight for jobs, you want to fight for the environment, you want to continue doing those things. One of your followers, Sandeep Sandhu, asks, if passed, how would Prop 23 affect California and its allies in the fight against global warming? You want to talk about Prop 23?
Well, as I just said earlier, Prop 23 is funded by Texan oil companies. And it's basically, they happen to be the biggest polluters in California. And they have created tremendous health problems in California because of that. I mean, we have literally 19,000 people in California dying because of smog-related and pollution-related problems, illnesses. And so I think that, we want to go reduce our greenhouse gases. We want to clean up California. We want to make it a place where people don't have to worry about dying early because of pollution or because of polluted water and so on and so forth. And so this is why we are saying to the oil refineries and to the oil companies, look, we want to partner with you. We want to work with you. Let's slowly start making progress in these areas and reduce the pollution. Those oil companies, Valero and they decided to go and spend millions and millions of dollars and put a ballot on an initiative on the ballot, and to go and try to reverse our environmental progress and keep polluting California. And so I think that's unacceptable, and I think that the people should know, if they succeed, we would roll back our environmental progress here, and we will also kill a lot of the jobs, the potential jobs that are existing now and potential jobs in the future when it comes to green technology. And that will be very sad, because, let's be honest, the green technology sector is the area that has the most job potential right now and has the biggest job growth. I mean, when you look at since 2005, it has created 10 times more jobs than any other sector. And so I think we want to protect that. We want people to invest in California. We want to have billions of dollars be poured into California. And, we have 12,000 green tech companies that have been created here in California. And we want to continue being the leader in that area. We are the inspiration to the rest of the country. I think it's also very important that we, make sure that Proposition 23 loses, because if it does, then we can go and really continue on with our great environmental progress, and then go to Washington eventually and just say, look, guys, we are doing it in California. Let's have the rest of the country do it. concentrate on renewable energy, concentrate on building cars that are not just fueled by fossil fuel, but by alternative fuels. If it is a synthetic diesel, if it is a biodiesel, if it is electric cars, if it is hydrogen cars, and so on and so forth. And we are going in that direction in California, but the rest of the country has to go in this direction. So I would say very important again that we win, and that the Proposition 20, that everyone votes no on Proposition 23.
It's interesting you just mentioned the alternative fuel. Egg Fuel 17 seconds ago just said, let's see pollution reduced in California and use biogas. So that's obviously something that your followers are interested in as well.